Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this explosive edition of entertainment news where truth is stranger than fiction, and today's headline is nothing short of a bombshell. Michael Caine, the legendary British icon known for his suave charm in films like Alfie and the Dark Knight trilogy, has been dramatically kicked off the set of ITV's beloved daytime chat show Loose Women following a heated argument with fiery panelist Denise Welch. Picture this. The studio lights blazing hot under the glare of cameras, the audience buzzing with anticipation as the 92-year-old screen legend, with his trademark Cockney wit and piercing blue eyes, settles into the iconic red chairs opposite a panel of outspoken women who've made their mark by fearlessly tackling everything from politics to personal scandals. Denise Welch, the 67-year-old Geordie powerhouse, celebrated for her unfiltered candor on topics ranging from mental health advocacy to her own battles with addiction, is no stranger to controversy. She's clashed with the likes of Piers Morgan and defended her son Matty Healy's band The 1975 against tabloid frenzy. But on this fateful November afternoon in 2025, what started as a light-hearted discussion about Caine's illustrious career spanning over 7 decades, 2 Oscars, and collaborations with everyone from Humphrey Bogart to Christopher Nolan quickly spiraled into a verbal showdown that left jaws on the floor and producers scrambling. It all began innocently enough, with host Christine Lampard introducing Sir Michael as a national treasure who's seen it all, prompting chuckles from the crowd as Caine quipped about his retirement plans, joking that at his age, he's less get Carter, more get a carer. The panel, including regulars like Nadia Sawalha and Kay Adams, leaned in eagerly, ready to dissect the finer points of Hollywood glamour versus British grit. Welch, ever the provocateur, launched the first salvo by reminiscing about a past encounter at Caine's star-studded 90th birthday bash back in 2023, where she claims to have delivered a speech so risque tilde copyright involving Olympic-sized condoms and Shakira Caine's bedroom antics that it had Tom Cruise doubled over in hysterics, a story that's become Welch folklore, shared endlessly on her Instagram with captions boasting of her unlikely A-list bonds forged through her husband's portrait painting prowess. Caine, sipping his tea with a bemused smile, nodded along at first, his voice gravelly from years of chain-smoking and on-screen gravitas, recalling how Welch's dirty jokes lit up the room like a flare in the fog of London night. But as the conversation veered into the territory of ageism in the industrial, Welch passionately railing against how women like her are sidelined post-50 while silver foxes like Caine get endless reinvention of the air thickened. Delving deeper into the backstory that fueled this firestorm, it's essential to appreciate the unlikely intersection of Michael Caine's gilded Hollywood trajectory and Denise Welch's gritty, unapologetic ascent through British tele-trenches, 2 worlds colliding in a cauldron of celebrity culture that's as volatile as it is captivating. Sir Michael, born Maurice Micklewhite in 1933 to a charlady mother and fish market porter father in London's Rotherhithe slums, embodies the rags-to-riches archetype that captivated post-war Britain. His breakouts in 1960s swinging London films like Zulu and The Ipcress File catapulted him from national service drudgery to knighthood, amassing a fortune estimated at £60 million and a filmography boasting over 160 credits, including iconic turns as the dapper conman in The Sting and the grizzled mentor in Inception. Yet beneath the posh veneer honed by elocution lessons to shed his Cockney twangle lies a man who's never shied from controversy, from his outspoken support for the Iraq War earning him Tony Blair's ear to his candid admissions of youthful philandering in autobiographies that blend self-deprecation with swagger. Denise Welch, contrastingly, emerged from Newcastle's working-class fabric in 1958, her path paved by a teaching father and homemaker mother, finding early fame as a troubled soul in BBC's EastEnders spin-off The Firma before solidifying her status as Loose Women's emotional anchor since 2002, where her breakdowns on air about depression destigmatized mental health for millions, earning her an MBE and a legion of fans who adore her for calling out hypocrisy, as seen in her viral clapbacks at Meghan Markle detractors. Their orbits first brushed in the art world via Welch's husband Lincoln Townley's celebrity portraits, with Caine sitting for a session that blossomed into genuine camaraderie. Welch often gushing on her podcast about Shakira Caine's warmth and Michael's cheeky grin that reminds her of her own Geordie roots. Fast forward to 2023's infamous birthday gala at the River Cafe, where Welch's toast delivered at Shakira's behest featured a punchline about a delivery of extra-large prophylactics for the nonagenarian lovebirds, leaving not just Cruz and Stitches but David Williams and Jimmy Kimmel howling, a clip that tracked up millions of views and headlines branding Welch the queen of X-rated elegance. Caine later praised her in a Radio Times interview as the only one who can make me blush at 90. A nod that Welch parlayed into Loose Women's segments dissecting age gap romances and enduring passion, often teasing Caine's 4-decade union with Shakira as goals for us mortals. But cracks in this chummy facade had hinted at deeper rifts in a 2024 Guardian profile. Caine mused on generational divides, lamenting how woke warriors like Welch's outspoken ilk misread old-school banter as bigotry. A veiled dig that Welch addressed on air by retorting that surviving cancel culture means calling out dinosaurs. Lovingly. As the studio clock ticked mercilessly toward the segment's climax, the argument transcended professional jabs, delving into the raw, unvarnished personal histories that both Caine and Welch have wielded as badges of honor and burdens alike, transforming the Loose Women set into an impromptu confessional booth where old wounds reopened under the unforgiving lens of live television. Caine, drawing from the well of his 2010 memoir, recounted the visceral poverty of his youth evading Luftwaffe bombs in a South London bunker, emerging to a world where fish and chip suppers were luxuries and his father's herring-stained hands symbolized the grind that forged his unbreakable resolve. "I didn't whine about barriers, Denise," he declared, his voice rising like a foghorn over the Thames. "I bulldozed the AIMA from Hackney Empire heckles to Hollywood handshake hessa because survival isn't gendered, it's savage." The audience, a tapestry of pensioners nodding sagely and younger viewers live tweeting furiously, hung on his every word. But Welch, undeterred, countered with her own arsenal of adversity, her tone shifting from combative to confessional as she evoked the black dog of depression that shadowed her 1990s rise. From manic highs scripting her soldier role to suicidal lows that hospitalized her amid tabloid taunts branding her unstable. "You talk survival, Michael, but mine was silent," said the women's pain pathologized while men's grit gets glorified, she shot back, tears glistening under the studio spots, a vulnerability that had endeared her to viewers since her 2013 ITV documentary on bipolar disorder. Caine, softening momentarily, acknowledged the asymmetry with a nod to his daughter-in-law's advocacy work, but Welch pressed on, weaving in the thread of her absent father figure her real dad, a distant academic whose emotional unavailability mirrored the industry's paternalistic pat on the head, contrasting it with Caine's self-made mythos. "Privilege isn't just posh accents, it's the invisible scaffold that lifts lads like you while we ladder climb in heels," she asserted, her Geordie lilt sharpening like a stiletto, prompting murmurs of agreement from the female-heavy crowd. The panel, sensing the pivot to peril, attempted levity, Lampard floating a question about Caine's favorite on-set flirtations to lighten the load, but it backfired spectacularly when Caine, with a mischievous glint, recalled a 1970s escapade involving a leading lady's unscripted advances, only for Welch to interject, "Ah, the good old boys club where conquests count as credits, but for us, it's harassment." Headlines. With the studio transformed into a coliseum of clashing egos, the production team's intervention unfolded like a scene from one of Caine's own espionage thrillers, swift, secretive, and laced with high-stakes improvisation as whispers and earpieces escalated to urgent huddles in the shadows, culminating in the unprecedented decision to eject the guest of honor mid-broadcast, a move that would etch this episode into infamy and spark debates on the boundaries of daytime discourse. Floor manager Sarah, a veteran of 15 years wrangling rowdy reunions and royal gaffes, first flagged the red alert to executive producer John, her voice a hushed hiss over the comms. "It's got nuclear ratings through the roof, but if it tips to toxicity, we're sunk." John, monitoring feeds from the gallery's bank of screens where split views captured Caine's clenched jaw and Welch's defiant stare, weighed the calculus. Loose women had weathered storms before Rio, from calling Nolan's cancer candor to Janet Street Porter's Brexit blasts but evicting a knighted legend. Uncharted territory, as Welch launched her next broadside, likening Caine's career armor to a glass ceiling for grannies like me. The control room erupted in frantic strategy. Publicist Lisa drafting damage control statements, while director Mike cued a premature ad break graphic. The "We'll be right back after these messages" Chiron, a lifeline tossed into turbulent waters. But Caine, sensing the shift, paused his riposte on industry nepotism. "I earned every frame. No silver spoons to address the unseen overlords. Ladies in the booth, if this is too real for your reels, say the word. I've walked off worse sets than this." That meta jab hung heavy, eliciting awkward titters from the audience, but it was the catalyst. John, after a split-second confer with ITV brass via secure line, greenlit the extraction, whispering to security lead Tom, escort Sir Michael stage left. A polite but prompt, "No drama." Tom, a burly ex-copper more accustomed to corralling overzealous fans than ousting Oscar winners, nodded grimly, signaling two colleagues to flank the set's wings. On air, Lampard, her smile a strained rictus, pivoted masterfully. "Michael, your insights have been invaluable, but let's give you a well-deserved breather back after the break." The panel clapped obligatorily, Welch's applause the most perfunctory, her eyes narrowing in a mix of triumph and trepidation as Caine roused, "Ever the gentleman, with a theatrical bow, fear not. Denise' arguments are the spice of life, and unlike your jokes, which are the full vindaloo. In the electrifying aftermath that rippled far beyond the confines of the ITV studios in London's Gray's Inn Road, the Michael Caine ejection from Loose Women ignited a media maelstrom of biblical proportions, with social media erupting like Vesuvius and traditional outlets scrambling to dissect the debris of this celebrity supernova, turning a single segment into a week-long spectacle that dominated headlines from The Guardian to Gray's. Within minutes of the feed cutting to ads, that digital coliseum of hot takes exploded with #Loose Women chaos amassing over 500,000 mentions, users from Tyneside to Tinseltown weighing in with fervor. Welsh supporters hailed Denise as the lioness roaring for us all, sharing gifs of her triumphant glare synced to Chaka Khan anthems, while Caine loyalists decried the ambush with clips of his bow looped to the Who's My Generation, captions snarling knighted and slighted ITV's shame. TikTok teens, barely old enough for Corey but versed in cancel culture, stitched reaction vids reenacting the standoff with exaggerated accents and "not the condoms again, Den." Racking up billions of views and spawning fan edits blending Caine's sleuth monologues with Welch's Rottweiler rants. By evening, BBC News ran a primetime panel of its own, with Emily Maitlis moderating pundits from feminist scholar Germaine Greer to film critic Mark Kermode, debating whether the spat symbolized boomer backlash or necessary reckoning. Kermode quipping, "Caine's walked off worse. He remembered Jaws." The revenge tabloids, ever the vultures, feasted. The Sun splash scream Caine kicked for calling out cancel queen, complete with pap shots of a stony-faced Welch exiting via back alley, while the Mirror countered with Denise's brave stand against sexist Sir, interviewing her ex-Biker Grove co-stars for testimonials on her unbreakable spirit. International wires buzzed to a Variety pondering the transatlantic tinderbox, given Caine's Nolan ties, and TMZ breathlessly recapping the condom callback for Yankee audiences oblivious to Loose Women's lore.